Hi there, this is John from Utopia Works. Thanks for coming to check out Deja View. I've kind of got the scene running here so you can kind of watch while I'm talking. So Deja View is a pretty cool and unique little camera system to where the camera, it's not just tethered to the object that you're following, but it's going the same places that your object did. So you can see how my camera is mimicking the exact same motion that my ball is, but it's kind of lagging behind it. It's also using some, real rudimentary collision stuff to help it keep from going into places it can't go. But you'll also see that as I pass through things, how I've got it set up to where it turns that object transparent so you can see through it. So it's a pretty fun little, little tool. It creates a real unique cinematic effect. You'll have to forgive the choppiness. I'm recording this on QuickTime, so the video is not super silky smooth, but that's what you get for using QuickTime. But anyhow, you kind of get the idea, just watching the camera roll around and do what the ball does. But I'm gonna stop the scene and kind of show you how it's all set up. So first of all, we have our main camera. This is just any other plain old Unity camera. And the only thing special that I've done is I've added the Deja View script to it. So here's Deja View, and there's a few things that I've configured. I've told it the target, which is, in this case, the ball that I'm using, but that's the player that you want to follow in your scene. You can specify the follow delay, which is how many frames of movement data to store before the camera starts using that data. I'll explain that there's a mixing system, but I'll explain that later. You can specify a minimum distance, that is the camera can't go any closer than this, and a maximum distance of the camera can't go any further away from it than that. You can specify a height offset, so this is going to bring the camera up in the y-axis for you, and you have the option to specify a different idle height. Speaking of idling, we have the ability to say we have some special idle movements. So if the character is not the idle movement under, so that says the character hasn't moved this far. So that's the minimum distance that we consider character movement. And then we have a number of frames that we count before we say, okay, the player is idle, and then then we'll start applying the idle animation. So we'll bring the height down, and additionally you can select to have the idle kind of spin around in an orbit around the character. Then we also have some orbiting controls. So if you want to specify whatever you have already set up in Unity for your horizontal axis, if just whatever input name you have it specified as. So if you go to your build setting, your project input settings, and you look at your axes, then you can use, whatever you call it here. Oh, what have I done? Okay. So coming back to Deja View, you just specify those inputs. You specify how fast you want that orbit to be, and if you want to invert those. So let's just take a quick peek here. We'll play the scene again, and this time, you see I'm orbiting with the mouse. So I'm going to do some movement with orbit and just kind of show you how that plays out. So it applies orbit data as well as the smooth movement that follows the ball around. Geez, I am not as coordinated as I thought I was. So yeah, by using I'm using my WASD keys, but by using that in combination with your mouse, you can create some really fun. There we go. Oh, I'm going crazy. We can create some really fun movements. Now there's a second piece to Deja View, which is the collider. So this is what says, hey, there's something in between me and the player, and I need to change the shader on that to bring it, to bring the opacity down. So you'll notice I have a child object here called collider, and it's based off of just a Unity cube primitive. So it does have a box collider, and that is set to trigger. Optionally, for kind of debugging and seeing what's going on, you can turn the mesh renderer on and off. It does need a rigid body to actually do the collision work. and then you set the opacity that you want objects you collide with to be, and how long you want it to wait until it starts to apply the effect. So if I play this now, and okay, so you can kind of see the shadow of my collider. You don't see it directly, but now you can kind of see it. So you can see so the camera is looking up. Let's do this. Let's dock this over here. Let's just kind of go into play mode. Here, and make sure that's syncing, and then we'll just roll the ball around. So when this collider comes in contact with something that's in the view of the ball, you see how it's making that become transparent. So that is really as simple as it is. It's two scripts. You've got the main Deja View script, and then optionally, if you do want to run the collider, you can add the collider script underneath it. So the demo scene is included with the package, so you'll be able to test out this whole thing as you see it here. So hopefully it'll be approved in the next day or two from the Unity Asset Store, and you'll be able to get it. So